And this next fight, this should be a fun striking fight here with Chris Duncan taking on Omar Morales. And this is going to be the UFC debut for Chris Duncan. He's had to make it the hard way. He had his first fight in 2014. And since going pro, he tested himself against fighters with good records. He fought in Bellator. He went 3-0 there. And those fights got him the call to come on the Contender Series in 2021. But unfortunately for Duncan, he got knocked out in that fight. Went back on the regional scene, got another win, and then the UFC called him back to fight on the Contender Series in August of last year again. This time, Duncan got a knockout win of his own in the first round in a really wild fight. And he was going to fight Michael Figlak in this one, but Figlak pulled out, and now he's tasked with facing a more tenured UFC fighter in Omar Morales. It isn't that short notice, though, as Morales had about 5 weeks to prepare. And Duncan had a camp at American Top Team again for this one, so probably he's going to be ready to go. Omar Morales, he's been up and down, and this is definitely the tail end of his career to me. He's 37 years old, and overall he's 11-3, but he's 3-3 in the UFC, and he's lost 2 fights in a row. His last fight, he got knocked out, and he hasn't fought in quite a while, so it's going to be interesting to see how he bounces back from that. But Chris Duncan, tough, hard-nosed fighter. On the feet, Duncan is super hittable, and he's a bit of a punching bag, but he's heavy-handed, and he likes to pressure forward in a range, look for the 3-2s. He's dangerous in the pocket. He has a power right hand. His last fight, he did get rocked. He was on the brink of getting knocked out, but he landed a nasty cross on the retreat that knocked Charlie Campbell out cold. And he throws pretty good kicks to both the legs and the body. He doesn't really move his head, stands very heavy on the lead leg, and he's there to be hit. He's taken a lot of damage, and uppercuts have been right on the money for his opponents. He stands square, and he's just asking to be knocked out, but he's very durable, heavy-handed himself, and if you get in the pocket with him, he's a good pocket fighter, and his kicks are decent on the outside, so he has a danger factor of his own. And he's an okay grappler. He doesn't have the best wrestling. He only tends to wrestle when he's getting beat up on the feet, but he has okay timing on the double legs. His ground game isn't great, but he has okay control, and he has underrated ground and pound. I think in this fight, it would be smart for Duncan to put Omar Morales on the cage, clinch him, make him defend takedowns, and even if you can't hold him down, try to gas him out if you can. And Duncan's square stance and pressure does make his takedown defense questionable. In this fight, I feel it probably won't have to, rear its head. I don't think Morales is going to really go for takedowns. But cardio, that's one thing where Duncan has a big edge in this fight. Cardio is one of his main weapons, and I think he's going to want to push the pace here. Omar Morales, he's a low-volume kickboxer. I think leg kicks are going to be his path to victory. He has nice calf kicks. I think he has to land those to mitigate the pressure of Duncan. Omar Morales has decent hands, but he doesn't throw them nearly enough. His jab is okay. He throws 1-2s, 3-2s. In this fight, I think he has to take more of a stand and throw more volume and sit down on shots, but historically, he hasn't shown power in his hands. He only has 2 knockouts. Both are with kicks, one with a high kick, one with a leg kick. But I will say his last fight, he was more aggressive. He was sitting down, throwing pull 2s. He was looking for the head kicks more. And it led to him being knocked out, so I don't know if he's going to replicate that game plan. But I think that would be smart to do here against Duncan, to be with that same aggressive style. Omar Morales has a black belt, and he has underrated grappling. His wrestling is okay too, clinch takedowns, but he doesn't have good top control, and I don't see him holding Duncan down. I don't think it's worth the cardio output to try to wrestle from Morales, so takedowns are not something I would incorporate. And it's hard to know how Morales is going to come back here or where his head is at. He hasn't won a fight in 2 years, coming off 2 finishes in a row, 2 finished losses in a row. 37 years old. He's having to travel to England to fight a UK fighter. And this fight's a tough one. Just because Chris Duncan is so hittable, there is a world where Morales can jab and left hook or leg kick and move his way to a win or even get the knockout. But I think that Morales doesn't have the power or cardio to deal with Duncan's pressure and pace. If he can't hurt his legs and slow him down early, Duncan is a good offensive striker, and if he can get into the pocket, I think he can wear the damage better than Morales. Morales' cardio for me is a big question mark, especially with the layoff, with him being older, him already showing bad cardio in previous fights and having to travel now abroad. I'm confident Chris Duncan can win this fight. I'm going to pick him to win via third round KO TKO, but it's just Duncan isn't that skilled, so obviously Morales is the more skillful fighter. And if he turns up 100%, then he probably will get the victory. But I just think with the intangibles, with the age, not fighting in 10 months, with having to travel overseas, with having questionable cardio, questionable durability coming off a knockout loss, I got to go with Chris Duncan here, and I'm going to pick him to win via third round knockout.